The dialogue.
The dialogue.
The dialogue. The dialogue. The dialogue.
The dialogue.
Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the front page on 102.3 Radio Free KJLH. I'm your guest host. This week, Starlett Quarles, Dominique, is on a much-needed vacation, I'm sure. So, if you tuned in yesterday, then you know I'm hosting a series of conversations this week, primarily geared towards issues impacting my peer of Gen Xers. Our series is entitled Conversations for a Generation. And yesterday we started the series with our discussion, Black Men on Relationships. And within that conversation, we address how Black women's strength and independence is sometimes a hindrance in our relationships with Black men. So today, we want to talk more about this aspect of our character with our show, The Misperception of the Strong Black Woman. And I use the word misperception because as a self-professed strong Black woman, I feel that aspects of my personality and character are often negatively stereotyped, misunderstood, and not often appreciated by Black men. Now, that's not to say that being a strong Black woman doesn't have its flaws. It does. At times, we do tend to express and use our superpower for bad and not necessarily good. But I gotta say, the essence of my strength as a Black woman, I really can't help it. I can't be helped. It just can't be helped. I mean, it can be tempered, but it's always going to exist because as a Black woman, it's simply part of my ancestral DNA. That is, that not only was my internal strength modeled for me as a child, but it's also something that most Black women naturally possess, and we have for generations. It's been flowing through our veins since our survival of the Middle Passage and from generations of being sexualized, raped, beaten, tortured, and basically treated like men. And unlike white women, we had very little room to exercise our natural sense of femininity and walk around smelling like roses and berries all the time and making sure our breasts were all round and perky, especially when we're breastfeeding our own kids as well as our slave masters. So yeah, our femininity was basically beaten out of us and our strength became our survival mechanism. And it has carried us and the Black family all throughout slavery, Jim Crow, and remains today, especially if there isn't a father in the home. But unlike those times, Black women's strength has now become a problem and a constant topic of conversation amongst the complaints of many Black men. We talked about it yesterday with the Black men on our show. While they appreciate our independence as a Black woman, as Black women, Kenneth Fleming said, we overappraise it and we place too much value on it. Whereas Steve Burt said that some strong Black women believe that they don't even need a man, but yet and still, they all up on them dating apps. Because the truth of the matter is, they still want one. So I gotta say, Black women's strength is both a blessing and a curse. And I just wish we were given a little more empathy versus judgment when it comes to its being misused or misunderstood. Brothers, remember, we were beaten too. And as a people, we all have not fully healed from our trauma that we've experienced being Blacks in America. But that's just my opinion. So I'm looking forward to having today's conversation on the misperception of the strong Black woman with my three guests. And I will bring them on shortly. But I'm still here hanging with Bobo and Dorian. And I just want to first, before we get on to bringing on our guests, I just want to get you guys' topic on today with our strong Black women. So as Black men, when you hear the term strong Black woman, what comes to mind? A positive or negative connotation? And Dorian, I'm going to start with you first.
For me, definitely a positive connotation. Like, I mean,
your mama strong?
Oh yeah, well, is she strong? My mama strong. My mama got a strong backhand. I can tell you that. No, but definitely a positive connotation for me. When I hear a strong Black woman, you know, a woman who can stand on her own 2 feet, who can, you know, do things for herself, you know, doesn't necessarily need a man. And I mean, not in a bad way, but, you know, who can provide, you know, who can do the things that a man can do.
So it's never been a problem in your interpersonal relationships with us?
No.
When you date us, our strength hasn't been a problem?
No.
Okay. All right. Bobo?
No, if anything, I feed off of it.
You feed off, in what way?
Just, I mean, for me, it allows me to become a better man. Like, there are things that there's strengths about her that I may be weak in some areas that I'm able to feed off of and become a better person.
Okay.
And I hope I'm able to feed off the same thing. There's this even exchange.
Okay. All right. Bubba, you listened to Kevin Samuels, so when you talked yesterday, you were just like, I agree. Get these independent black women.
Get them. Need them for nothing. Give me somebody who need me.
So when you hear the term strong black woman, what comes to mind? Is it something negative, or is it something positive that we possess as black women?
I mean, to be honest, it depends on the guy.
Okay.
It depends on how the guy's mindset is. I mean, if I really hate to say it, but if you're a weak-minded guy, then a strong black woman can be very intimidating.
Okay.
Like, if you can't deal with that kind of personality, then it's going to look like, what am I doing here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, for me, it doesn't affect me here or there. Like, I've dealt with a strong-minded black woman. I've dealt with a woman who actually was dependent on all of me, and it just depends.
And so, did you have a preference? What about the woman that was dependent?
The woman that was dependent she was cool, like, you know what I mean? But after a while, it got a little boring because it was like she couldn't do nothing without help, like without me. It's like, and I was like, it was cool, like, I mean, a man's supposed to take the lead, in certain cases, in certain aspects, but it shouldn't be all the time.
Okay.
And
so there needs to be some balance.
It definitely should be some balance.
Okay.
Like, it just depends. Like I said, it just depends. For me, it doesn't affect me at all.
So have you guys both just dated exclusively black women?
No.
Okay,
not at
so
all.
what about with the other races? How does our strength compare to the other races? Do you miss it when you're not with us? Or do you wish...
I mean,
it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
So like Ken said, we put too much value on it when it comes to our relationship? You don't necessarily need a strong, independent woman, but if you have one, you know how to deal with her.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it's not that I don't need it. I mean, if it's just a part of the woman's personality, then so be it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't think anybody wants it, whether a male or a female wants another weak individual, because especially
an alpha female.
Yeah, like an alpha female needs somebody who's like a super alpha male. Like, and alpha male can kind of work with whatever. Like,
Got it.
So that's just me.
Got it. No, that's good. That's good. I appreciate you guys giving us, some feedback, because we don't have men here. But you guys you guys were here yesterday, so I really wanted to get your opinion on, since you listen to Kevin Samuels.
I listened to him again yesterday. Man, somebody sent me a clip on Instagram, and he had asked this chick. He was like, "How tall are you?" And she was like, "I'm 5'8". How much you weigh? She was like, "I'm 220, and I'm proud of it." He was like, "Wait a minute, you 5'8" and 220? He was like, "I'm 6'4" and 200. He's like, "You run around like Emmitt Smith. You little running back." I was like, "Dog, like there's no filter."
What do you like about what I
don't like him.
Okay.
I just find him hilarious.
Oh, so he's entertainment for you.
He's just entertainment for him and Derek Jackson. They're just entertainment for me. Like, I don't pay attention to him one way or the other, because I mean, we've already proven Derek Jackson don't know what he's talking about, or if he does, he's full of it. So
that part.
And Kevin is just hilarious. Like, he's just blunt and hilarious.
Okay.
To me.
So you don't necessarily adopt his ideology.
I don't adopt nothing from him except comedy.
Yeah, that's all it is.
All right. Very good. So let's pull in our guest, our first two guests to contribute to this conversation on the misperception of the strong black woman. First, we have Dr. Typhanye Dyer, who is a tenured associate professor in Maryland, but she is a Compton native. She is currently in a blended marriage and has one son with an ex-boyfriend. Joining her is Tamica Washington-Miller, who is an associate director at a local dance academy here in Los Angeles. She is married and has two sons. And most importantly, these two women are not only my Delta sorors, but they're also my Sands. We pledged together at UCLA. Shout out to Njoki Sala of Pi Chapter Spring 92 in the house. Hi, ladies.
Hey.
Good morning. Good morning.
Whoa, that was unexpected. Yeah.
Come on now. I had to give my Sands a shout out. So let So let me start off asking both of you, and Tiffany, I'm going to go to you first. What are your thoughts on our strength and independence not being seen as something Black men value, appreciate, or even desire? This is just an extension of our conversation that we had yesterday on Kevin Samuels and talking to our guests Steve and Ken Fleming about sometimes, our strength, our independence is a hindrance in our relationship. So what do you think about that?
First of all, thank you, Starlett, for having me.
Of course.
On the show, absolutely. And I know we've discussed this a little bit just on our one-to-one time, but my opinion about it, I'm glad that the two brothers spoke earlier, because I think it helped to sort of couch some of the ideas that were spoken about yesterday.
Okay.
That Black women's strength is oftentimes underappreciated. I think the word that I really want to focus on is need.
Okay.
And that it's not needed.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I think about is the fact that, I went to college. And I didn't go to find a husband, and I'd heard from a lot of, my peers that they were basically sent to college to find a husband. I was like, no, I thought, come to college to get a degree.
Right.
And I think what that sort of alludes to is this sense of, for women, and we see this, especially if you're raised by a single parent. I think we do have a generation of folks that were raised by single women. Mm-hmm. And so they had to exhibit this strength, mm-hmm. And the ability that they could take care of themselves. And so their daughters saw that and not only saw them do things by themselves, but but honored that. Okay. My mom is a strong Black woman, and someone that I try to emulate in the things that I do. I think what we run the risk of when we say, oh, we're strong, we're independent, is that we end up unintentionally, I say, castrating our men, mm-hmm. and making them feel like whatever they're bringing to the table isn't needed. Okay. And things like, what, I can do, better without you, or, kind of whatever that sentiment might be. Okay. And nobody wants to feel that way, mm-hmm. right? So I think what it really takes is, I think the two brothers also spoke to this earlier, it takes a mental maturity to accept and appreciate that strength, right? And so I think for men who find it somehow offensive or whatever, maybe they're looking, I just need you to be pretty and walk around the kitchen and wear heels all day and wear this little, be like, my feet are tired, you know what I'm saying? And mm-hmm. so they want something that's different from maybe what a lot of women were brought up to do. But I think it takes a mental and emotional maturity. I will think, and I know that I've got just not that much time, but I always think about, my brother. My brother recently passed away, as you know, and he had written a letter to my mother a few years back. Now, he didn't grow up saying, Mom, I appreciate your strength. But he said, I get my strength from you mentally and physically. You always inspire me to do better and be better. I saw you move furniture all by yourself once. My mama is a furniture mover. She's probably moving furniture right now. And that always made me feel like I can do things physically. You're the reason why I have a family now, because you always held our family together by yourself. I knew that took a lot of emotional and mental strength. I appreciate the love and strength and passion you showed me and made me stand on my own, and I can't thank you enough for that. So what she did without knowing it mm-hmm. was exemplified for him what a strong Black woman does. And in turn, hopefully, it builds strength not only in my daughter, but also in my sons, right? And so I think that at some point, when men look and they see their moms and the things that they do and the ways that they hold family together, because that is our role, that they will appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Whether they need it, I don't know. I think the brothers yesterday said something like this: being equally yoked doesn't mean that you make $50,000 and I make $50,000. Mm-hmm. It means that on days when I'm 80%, you got that 20, you get a break. On the days when I'm 40%, I'm gonna need you to jump in and be 60. But if I'm 40 and you can't do nothing but 40, we're gonna be struggling, and I can't be dealing with that, right? And so, just the ability to step up, is I think what we really exemplify as Black women. Do men need that? Do the brothers need that? I don't know. I think the ones who feel that they need it, they know where to find it, and they know how to appreciate it and nurture it and love it and treat it and massage it to a point where, it takes a village and to build a strong family.
Fantastic. And Tamica, your thoughts?
Wow, I totally agree with everything that Tiffany was saying, because, when I think about, the strong black woman, and I think about, it's like we show up and your partner has to see that balance. They have to see that you're bringing that balance. Mm-hmm. And I think, like what Tiffany was saying, sometimes if someone is not, not very strong-minded, that they may be, they may recoil at that strength. It may make them feel so less than that they're not able to come halfway to the table and meet you at the table. So it is, I think, very, unique and individual to each man. But I just want to say I've been blessed to be, most of my life to have black men around me who learned from the strength of their mothers mm-hmm. and their grandmothers. And so I think it just really has to deal with the individual. Are they willing to accept the truth? I think Tiffany just said it, that, a strong a mother is going to bring you the truth. The mother is going to make you see the places where you're wrong. And I think sometimes as strong black women, that packaging is different and sometimes hard for some men to receive.
Now, I know you're going to, and I'm going to ask you later on to elaborate on that unpacking and the truth. But for now, let me ask you, so why would you say our strength is both a blessing and a curse, and is sometimes often misperceived or misunderstood?
Tamica? I like I was kind of unpacking this for myself. I don't see it as a curse, really.
All right.
I don't. I think it's perception.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
And it's relative to the situation. I'm trying to let go of curses. I'm trying to get them out of my life. And
rebuke it, girl. Rebuke it.
Hey, because we don't have no time for all that to be hanging us back. Mm-hmm. I see it as a blessing, because I think the challenge is when I am unable to communicate and when I'm unable to package my truth and my message when I'm bringing it. Okay. And I think that's where misunderstandings come, because people are blinded by the package mm-hmm. and not by what's actually being given and shared.
Fair. So, Tiffany, how would you say our strength is often misperceived or misunderstood?
I love Tamica said blinded by the package. I'm going to have to put that on a shirt. Don't be blinded by the package. Yes. So I think it is both a blessing and a curse. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with being labeled strong. It's better than being labeled lazy, right? But the label itself, I think, robs us of our ability to be vulnerable in certain spaces, mm-hmm. right? And so this is especially difficult because of what a lot of, I'll say, like scholars of color or even like queer scholars, the theory of intersectionality. So for mm-hmm. black women, we sit at the intersection of two identities, both of which are oppressed. So that's the intersection of race and gender. So Sojourner Truth coined the phrase, "Ain't I a woman?" which might have been the earliest reference to what scholars refer to as intersectionality. And her poem says, "That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. Mm-hmm. And ain't I a woman?" So what she's speaking on is the fact that while women get catered to, white women get catered to in a certain way, opening the door, etc. Right. When she steps up the car, ain't nobody there to open the door, mm-hmm. right? So she proclaims, wait, ain't I a woman? But what it places front and center is her blackness. Mm-hmm. Because yes, she is a woman, but a black one, so she doesn't deserve those things. So for black women, we can't remove our black hat in spaces that are female-centered. We can't remove our woman hat in spaces that are black-centered. We're at once and always black women, both identities at once. And it gets even trickier when you add other, spaces, same-gender loving, disabled, aging, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're an old black woman, queer, et cetera, then you're really going to be, not able to really express your vulnerability, right? And so what it does is it puts black women at risk of undue levels of stress and disease caused by anxiety, other mental health issues. But again, we're strong, right? So we don't talk about it. We just walk around with the thing on our back. And, so I think the blessing is that like you said, it's in our ancestral DNA. I'm strong. I'm going to be strong. I ain't going to stop being strong so people feel comfortable in the room. But at the same time, where do we have the space to say, you know what, I'm tired, you know, or I'm, you know, I don't feel like doing this today. You know, we get in the shower, we cry. That's a good place to cry because you wet anyway, right? And so we don't have that space to be to say I feel vulnerable, or I'm scared, or I'm fearful today, or you know, I'm you know, even in our relationships with our partners and our families, you know, we don't have the room to be like, I don't feel like messing with you. I don't feel like dealing with you today.
Right.
You know, it's like, no, the strong people, we must endure it all and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, sometimes you just want to be like, you know, I'm crawling into bed, I'm crying, and go to sleep. You know, just, we don't have that. Not only was that not shown to us, so I don't think we even know how to do it sometimes. But unless we find spaces like within our sisterhood, you know, and within our female-centered spaces, do we really have that room to say, you know what, I felt that way too, or I feel that way too. You know, it's a safe space, and I don't think we have a lot of safe spaces to be strong and vulnerable at the same time. I don't know if you can do both at the same time.
Right.
So I think it is a blessing, and sometimes it's like Tamica said,
sometimes it is a curse, yeah.
A challenge, too.
A challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll change the phrasing. So, Tiffany, I know you alluded to this, and I'm going to have you to piggyback on Tamica's response. But, Tamica, so how was your strength as a black woman? How was it modeled for you growing up?
My mom, both my grandmothers. I mean, when I was pondering this question, I was like, yeah, every woman in my life growing up modeled a type of strength and a faith. I feel like faith is that part of that strength is that they know they're going to get on over somehow, you know, inch by inch, step by step. And so that faith of knowing that within me, I have the ability to do the things that I want to do. So that I'm so blessed for having that in my life. And I think a lot of women have it. Tiffany was alluding to it. Black women, seeing your mama move the furniture and then go and fix the faucet and then help you with your homework and cook your family dinner. I mean, it's all of those things growing up, and then seeing the women around, seeing women in the community who when they have very little still found a way to support me or some other kid who needed some shoes or whatever. So seeing that truly has modeled my strength in growing up.
Okay. It's the top of the hour, and you're listening to 102.3 Radio Free KJLH, Compton, Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Inglewood. And before we go to commercial break, we are going to take a caller to ask a question of either Tamica or Tiffany. So we're going to open up the phone lines. Give us a call here at 520-KJLH. That's 520-5554 from any area code. And before we go to commercial break, we will take a caller. So, Tiffany, so when do you feel that you need to temper your strength? In what situations or settings do you feel like you need to temper that black woman and that strong black woman inside of you?
Well, I'm going to sort of piggyback off what Tamica was saying. Because, you know, I read I read the letter from Marquette about my mom moving furniture. Okay. And I will say that there are spaces, I will say honestly, in the home. Because I did see that, you know, and my family know I will do it all, and a lot of it is because I'm busy. But also when I want something done, I want it done. I'm not gonna wait all week, and so I have done things like moved I'm the furniture putter together. I'll put it that way in the house. I will put together the bed, the furniture, the table, the chair. Just whatever. It's a mental, intellectual thing for me to put things together, but also because I want them done. I hate to say it, I want them done right. But there are times when I do just step back. And I say, you know what, I'm going to let my partner handle this, you know, and whenever they get around to it, even if it takes forever, but I'm going to let them handle it in due time.
And you do that for his sake or yours? Or both?
I do it for him. I do it for him. Everybody in my family knows that I will do it all, and that I can do it. A lot of that comes from being a single mom. though, right? So I didn't have a man in the place for, you know, when it came time for me and Kasai to do things, I had to do it. I had to go to the grocery store, get the thing. You know, my claim to fame was I would only do one trip from the car into the apartment because I would put all 9 bags on my arms at once and have a car seat and everything. I just into whatever to make 2 trips. So I've just learned how to do a lot in just one sitting. But I do it more for him because I did have to learn early on in our relationship that he is an alpha male and he is a different kind of person. So for an example, we, like one of our first dates, we went to the gas station somewhere in Inglewood. You know, I popped out the car. He was like, wait, what are you doing? I said, I'm pumping the gas. You know, and he was like, no. And I said, look, I can pump my own gas. I don't need a man. I don't need you to pump my gas. I'm pumping gas 25 years, you know, whatever. And he just was like, what is going on? And I was like, I can do it by myself. I don't need you to pump my gas, you know. And then at some point I was like, you know, I don't feel like pumping in gas anyway. So I stepped back and just say, you know, if that's something that you feel is part of your role in this relationship, then I'm going to let you. I'm going to get under the car and I'm not going to change a tire. I'm not going to put oil in because I'm going to just call AAA. You know what I'm saying? So there are things that he does that I just am, you know what, I'm happy that you have these skills and that you're able to use them. You know, he has the outside, I have the inside of the house. Well, if you want to mow the grass, fine. I'm not going to mow any grass, but I got the inside. You know, so we just kind of find that balance. And so a lot of it is me stepping down from my strong role of I can do it all and letting him make decisions. I'll say that. I think it's more decision-making versus physical action. But
so
having some space.
You're saying as a strong black woman, you don't have a problem submitting to your man?
I do not.
Okay, all right.
I do not, because I don't think that it takes away from my strengths. I actually think that it builds strength in other areas that I should probably be putting my energy. So thinking about my mental and emotional strength as well. You know, I can be physically strong, but also mentally and emotionally. So, for instance, I'm going to keep it real. Everybody knows this. I don't like cooking. You know, we had 3 meals. You know, we got some spaghetti, some tacos, some hamburgers, maybe. But James cooks. Mm-hmm. He cooks all the meals. He cooks everything, top to bottom. And he used to keep the kitchen a mess, and I'm a cleaner. And now he's gotten to the point, he's been trained very well, where he will actually wash his dishes after he cooks. And I'm just like, oh, I'm very proud of you, you know, kind of thing. But he cooks. I'm not the cooker.
I need to respond to Bobo's face. Why did your face do that when she said train?
I did say train. I realized when it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, no.
Wait, you make that on.
I'm on the wrong mic. I'm sorry. If I would have said something like that, I trained my girl different. You know how many calls I would have got on something like that?
Tiffany, Bobo was shaking his head the whole time you've been talking.
No, it's not the whole
listen, I will say that I didn't train him. What I did was I
made him make a habit of something.
Yes, I just by what I was doing. I was like, so I'm going to clean the kitchen. He was like, no, babe, after you eat, just sit down. I was like, but I don't like to wake up and see the kitchen messy. You know what I'm saying? And so I won't say I trained him. That's okay, Bobo, yeah. I'm going to take that back right now.
Because I'm just...
my actions, I think, exemplified what it was. And I do that with everybody in the house. I'm like, so I don't like to see bags everywhere. Everybody's like, was my bag in the wrong place? I'm like, no, I just moved it. So now they don't put the bag there. You know what I mean? So it's just me. So it's not trained was not a good word. So get my lip. But I got you with that. No. You're right. And when it came out of my mouth, I was like, Tiffany, too late. And I couldn't bring it back. I did realize when I said it, what
James.
it was
I trained you, James. Don't forget that, James.
Yeah, so if I tell him I said that, he's going to be like, no, you didn't say that already. So I'm already... I'm going to be in trouble, yeah. But when I was saying it, I realized what I was saying when I was saying it. And, yeah, so that was a little bit of...
So we have a caller for you, ladies. We have Linda on the phone. Hi, Linda. You're on the front page with Tiffany.
How you doing? Good morning. Yes, my name is Linda. I'm from L.A. Look, everybody's saying the right thing, but they're not really putting it... They're not really putting it on the right line. The right line is...
Linda, do me a favor. Turn your radio down for me. You got to turn your radio down because there's a delay.
I'm sorry. I feel like this. I'm a strong black woman. My mama raised me, and I'm always going to be strong. It's not that. It's just that some men, I'm going to say some men want to control women. That's the whole bottom line. It's not that we being black and strong and all of this. My problem is these men nowadays is not the men like they used to be, strong and dominant. And that's what we need.
You want to be dominated?
We need, okay?
Linda, you want to be dominated?
It makes me about to cry because I love my black men. I'm always gonna love my black men. And they just want weak-minded women. No, we're not weak. Right. We're strong. And that's what we need. I'm always gonna be that way. I'm always gonna be strong. So these men nowadays need to wake up. They go to other women that they can control and tell what to do. That's the whole, I don't care if you're white, black, green, or whatever. They want weak-minded women that they can tell what to do. That's all I have to say, Miss, this morning. I've been listening to y'all every day. I just had to come in and talk with you.
Linda, could you elaborate on what you mean by dominated? Women wanting to be dominated? You think we want to be dominated?
No, it's not that. It's like this. Women's, oh, Lord, let me say the right thing. It's just like this. We're strong. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this. All women are strong, but it's just like men just want to come in and say, "Oh, they want to talk about us. We weak, or they want us to do this, do that." They just want women that they can control. That's what it is. Okay. That's all. That's the bottom line. Okay. Open up the card. Hey, we can get our card those open too. White women, oh yeah, just like you just said, they was like. Men open up the doors for them. Hey, we supposed to get the same thing. I ain't saying nothing wrong or negative, but I love everybody, God, and I do. I love everybody. I praise them every day. But it's like these men's got to wake up. It ain't who they go to, who they be with. Be with the one you love and the one that's going to be strong and follow you all the way.
Okay, thank you so much. Tamica, your response to Linda.
I absolutely agree. I mean, that control is a big deal. And I think weaker-minded men can't handle the fact that they can't control that woman. So it goes back to the balance and meeting each other halfway and letting her be who she is and her strengths, because that's just going to support him. That's just going to support his work.
Now, before we go to commercial break, Tamica, I want to go back to what you talked about, unpacking your truth. And you said as a black woman, our strength has always been problems. It's always been a problem, and it often requires you to unpack your truth. What do you mean by that?
Well, I really think that it's not my truth. It's the truth. Okay. And I think that sometimes as women, we bring truth as we're in situations. We will unpack things, and sometimes for weaker-minded people, that is threatening, because now that means you have to step up. That means now that you've been uncovered and revealed, and there's things that you may need to work on. And I think that sometimes showing up in predominantly white spaces, sometimes that comes with you. I mean, some people that don't know you may automatically assume, here come a she gonna be this kind of way, just because of maybe how you look and in your physicality, and then in the tone of your voice. That's what I meant by the package. So sometimes, and that's also what I meant by the perception and relativity of the curse, because sometimes we can't keep the truth out of our own mouth, and it comes out how it comes out, and you might get it, and that may take you down the wrong way, but it's the truth. It's a truth that you need to recognize. And I also think sometimes that if we have to miss out because we are standing up for what am I trying to say? We have standards. We have integrity. And so at a certain point, when that has been challenged or someone is trying to squash that, we need to say the truth how it comes out. And if that means I'm going to miss out on that thing, maybe that's actually the blessing for me as a woman. So that's really what I meant. I meant by the problem is for some individuals, just me showing up, and no matter how I say it, I can say it really nice and sweet, but that truth may penetrate your soul and make you have to check some things. And so, that's kind of what I meant by the packaging and showing up authentically myself, no matter what. So that's my take on.
I
showing up.
I appreciate that, and that was a perfect segue into our conversation after the commercial break on how women's strength is interpreted in white spaces. Tamica, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I love you.
And my pleasure. I love you too.
And we're going to take
Tiffany. I love you too.
I love you too. Bye.
We got a bunch of love in the house. Okay, we're now going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation on the misperception of the strong black woman with another guest. And on the other side of the break, we're going to discuss how black women's strength is perceived when she dates a white man. So come back. Join me, Starlett Quarles, right here on the front page on 102.3 Radio Free KJLH. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the front page. If you're just now joining us, I'm your host, Starlett Quarles, and I will be with you all week long. The current time is 5:17, and the weather is 55 degrees, and will be 84 degrees later on today in beautiful Los Angeles, California. So today we're discussing the misperception of the strong black woman, and we're going to continue our conversation. But before I do, Bobo, I have to ask you about your reaction to Typhanye talking about wanting to pump her own gas. Why did you respond that? Why was your face doing all those contortions?
It's just certain things that trigger me that I'm sorry, man. Like, I just don't feel a woman should be pumping their own gas. Like, I just don't. Like,
why?
Especially, I just feel like it's a man's responsibility if he's with you.
Yeah,
I just don't feel that if there's a man in the car, a young man in the car, ages 16 plus, at no point in time should a woman be out pumping her gas. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
It's
sorry,
not hard
man.
to do. Is that just part of being a role of being a man? You feel like you need to I need
to do my responsibility as a man. And what is my responsibility as a man? Just to pay for stuff? No.
That's not what else you said either. You said,
I said something. What is my responsibility as a man? Am I just here for your sexual satisfaction when you need it? Is that it? I'm not going to say it as vulgar as I said it, but that's pretty much it. Like, what I as a man, I'm here to provide for you. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to care for you and cater to you. But every time I do something, you tell me stop because you strong? Like I said, it depends on the man. To me, no. Like, that's a ground rule for me. I am opening your doors. I am pulling out your chairs. I am walking on the right side of the street. I am pumping your gas. Like, that was
modeled for you with your father or your mom?
My mom, actually. It was my mom, and I watched my parents do it, but it was really my mom who kind of installed it with me. Okay. And like I said yesterday, my parents are still together.
Yeah.
Dorian?
Yeah, no, for me it was both. My mom and my dad, pretty much installed that in me growing up. Like Bobo said, we come from a different cloth. We were raised to do certain things, like he said, walk on the right side of the street, pump your gas, do these things, open the door. And for whatever reason, some women feel like when we do that, we are, kind of like
calling them weak.
Yeah, exactly. But which it's not that. We're not saying they're weak at all. We just have duties as men that we have to do. We have a role that we have to play. And that's all it is. We're just doing our role. We're not saying that you're weak whatsoever. We're trying to show you, like, look, we are a gentleman at heart. This is what we do. This is how we were raised. Nothing against how you were raised. Nothing against how you feel. It's just us doing our roles. That's it.
There's no problem with a strong black woman. I have no problem. But at some point in time, got to take a step back and let the man be a man and do certain things. Like, that's pretty much my...
So do you think strong black women have the capacity to submit to their men?
I think it varies.
Okay.
Yeah. I like she mentioned that, she has no problem with submitting to her man, even though she's a strong black woman. But some women feel like submitting means that they're weak, and it's not that.
It's not that at all.
I'm like Typhanye. I'm like, I want a man to do something all the time. I don't want to have to do everything, but if it's not going to be done, then I'll do it. But at the end of the day,
my parents' house, both of my parents can fix anything. At all. My mom is the builder. My dad is the builder. He's also a mechanic. I've helped put engines in car with my dad. At the same time, I've helped build furniture with my mom. It's just depends. But ain't nobody trained. Just saying that.
Typhanye, I know you still on the phone, girl. You rubbed them the wrong way with that one. But let me bring on our next guest. And joining Typhanye is Adele Supreme. Adele is an artist, writer from Los Angeles. While she has historically dated black men, she's currently in a relationship with a white man. And we've asked Typhanye to stay on this portion of the show because since she has been married to James, who is white, and she works in predominantly all white spaces. Typhanye, how long have you and James been together?
Been together or married?
Been married.
Sorry. It'll be 10 years in August.
How long have you been together?
I've been trained. I'm just 17 years.
How long you been training James?
17. You know what? My soul is just on fire right now. I feel awful for saying that, but there's some context. 17 years.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Dale. You there?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Good. Yes, I can. Good morning, love. How you doing?
Buenos dias. I'm good. How are you? Hi, Typhanye.
TP, Adele? Can TP?
Oh, what you? No.
So she just said hello. Okay, so
hi, Adele.
Okay, so Adele, before I ask you about your relationship, your current relationship, let me first ask you to share your thoughts on what we were talking about earlier with Tamica and Typhanye about Black women's strength and independence not necessarily being valued or appreciated by Black men. What do you think about that?
First off, I want to say I love what Typhanye said about it robbing us of our ability to be vulnerable.
Okay,
that was powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But the gift you said. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry. Was it about the perception?
Just the strength, just your thoughts on our strength and independence, not being appreciated. We opened up the show with that, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I want to touch on the gift and the curse part of that.
That's fine.
And so I believe the gift and the curse is, we have a high threshold for pain and we have a high threshold for pain. Mm-hmm. It's like we can take a lot and often we take too much. We have a difficult time saying no and tapping out and declaring enough is enough. I reached my breaking point. I can't take anymore. I'm hurt. I'm tired. Or maybe I just, like what Typhanye said, it's like, not making ourselves accessible if we need that emotional and mental health break. I feel like we aren't too good at setting boundaries, but we are really good at putting someone in their place. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I feel like depending on the type of man you are, you may find yourself either feeling cloaked and comforted by our ability to take a lot and pounce on you or anybody else who tries to, whoever else gets out of line, you feel me? Or you may find yourself emasculated by it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there is an in-between.
Okay. All right. So, and I'm going to stay with you, Adele, with our question on dating white men. So, as a strong Black woman...
Here we go.
So, as a strong Black woman who has historically dated Black men, how did you end up in a relationship with a white guy? Did you feel like a sellout?
How did I end up in a relationship? I'm still asking myself. I don't know. I'm just joking. No.
Tell the truth, girl.
I'm like, how did I get here? But no, it's funny. I actually still grapple and wrestle with feelings of being a sellout. And here's why. I've dated white men all throughout. Since I was allowed to date. The first crush I ever had, the first man I ever had a crush on was the only Latino boy in my school, my elementary school. And I remember I told my mother, I have a crush on a boy. And she was like, what's his name? I was like, Antonio. And she was like, oh, heck no. Antonio, what's Antonio look like? And she dropped me off at school one day and I pointed him out and she was just like, she didn't tell me not to like him, but ever since I was a little girl, she would always tell me, I would not be surprised if you married a white man because of all her children, I was the only one I was attracted to Black men, don't get me wrong, but I was clearly open to other races. Mm-hmm. And so I've always just allowed myself to be open. I don't have keep it 100. Listen, I love my little white drop, okay? But if I'm being completely honest, I would prefer a Black man only because I feel like, I may be jumping ahead a little bit with this, but I've dated all types of white men. Mm-hmm. But I feel like when it comes to the strength aspect, I feel like Black men have a higher, they have a greater capacity, depending on who they are. Right now, I'm generalizing for the sake of brevity, but I feel like Black men have a greater capacity to stand 10 toes down and not personalize it or feel intimidated by it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But being with a white man has its perks. Being with a Black one has its perks as well. And the second part of your question was, I'm sorry, can you repeat the second part of your question?
Just if you feel like a sellout. Elaborate on feeling like a sellout.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just feel like, I feel like as of late, maybe over the past couple of years, these conversations have been taking place in these predominantly Black spaces where it's like, the question is, can you be pro-Black and be in an interracial relationship? You know what I'm saying? Can you actually fully love yourself and still be open to dating another race? Who you love tells me who your allegiance is with. You know, love is a political statement, and you can't be black and talk white. I mean, I've heard it all. You know what I'm saying? And because of my public persona, like, I've been declared, not self-declared, I've been declared by my audience as a black artist representing black. I'm black. You know what I'm saying? And everything that I put out into the universe, my audience is expecting to buoy the black community, be totally pro-black. I was dating a very prolific, well-known black artist. My black audience loved that. They're like, yes, black power couple, we knew it. It makes sense, you know? And so every now and again, I do wrestle with insecurity around, and as much as I like to pride myself on someone who doesn't care much about what people think, I find myself really caring about how my supporters will feel about me dating outside my race. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with how I feel about myself, how I don't have an aversion to black love or black men. This guy just happens to, like, be really cool. and we work. You know what I'm saying?
And that's fair. And I love your response to that. Typhanye, on campus, you was, I'm black and I'm proud. You was dreaded up, tedded up. Okay, and then when you showed up with James, we were like, "What?" So Typhanye, talk about, you know, you were historically dating black men. You were super duper black on campus.
Yes.
Did you ever feel like a sellout? Did you ever feel like a sellout?
I did at first, you know. So a little bit of backstory. So James and I were introduced by a mutual friend. Nicole was also a doctoral student at UCLA. And we were in a lab, and she said, I want you to meet someone. And I was like, I had just gotten out of a relationship for 7 years, and I was like, I'm literally giving it a hiatus right now. And this was 2004, because I just come back from South Africa for doing some research. And she showed me a picture. So it was like a grainy picture. It was like a flip phone. And it was a picture of James, and I was like, no. And I was like, why would you, like, why? You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. And I remember her saying, well, I didn't say you had to marry him, just kind of meet him. And so I was like, all right, whatever. So he offered to take me to Jamba Juice, and I was like, oh, whatever. And so then we went to Natalie's High on Venice. And when I saw him, so you know, obviously you know James, and he wasn't what I expected.
Did you know he was white? Did you know he was white when she...
I knew that he was white, but on the picture he didn't look like he didn't have any hair, so I couldn't really tell like his facial features.
So he could have been light-skinned.
I saw the earrings, and I saw this goatee, and I saw those things, and that's why I said, why would you introduce me to someone who's obviously, you know? And when I met him, I was taken aback. For a number of reasons, and I'll elaborate on some of that a little bit later. But what I do remember was when I got into the doctoral program, I remember my cousin Vanessa telling me, it was the strangest thing. She said, oh, you're going to be with a white person. And I was like, girl, please, no. I don't do white men. That's not what I'm trying to do. And she said, well, as you ascend up the educational piece, the pool of men are going to become smaller. And I said, well, I don't have a problem going up with somebody. He ain't got to have a doctoral degree. I don't really care about that. You know, I said, as long as he's a good person, you know, et cetera, et cetera. It didn't really, that wasn't the part that made any difference to me, you know. So I was like, I didn't know what she, you know. So I actually did end up being with a white person who literally is not at all in academia at all, military, you know. And so I always found that to be very strange, or that actually is what happened, although it didn't happen the way that I think she thought it was. But I did feel like a sellout, and he and I have discussed that, and he's the one who told me. So we would be walking around and walking, talking, and we went into some space, and it was black, and I'd like immediately let go of his hand, and I was like, ooh, let me go over here, and you know, I tried to do something else with my attention, and I would do that a lot. And he called me on it. He was like, I feel like you're embarrassed to be with me, and I was like, what you talking about? And he was like, I feel like you are ashamed to be with me. Whenever there are black people around, you immediately have to turn away or turn your back or look down or do something. And I said, you know, I struggled because I was the chair of the African Student Union. I was the black pre-hypertension and the black pre-health and the black, dosing say black. You know, I said, and sometimes I don't know what to do with you. You know, and I was just like, I don't know if our relationship, like Adele said, you know, it represents more than just, oh, I like a person who happens to not be black. it represents more to my community. I'm saying something by walking around with you, and I feel like sometimes what it's saying is that somehow brothers ain't doing something. You know, I remember somebody asked me, like, when did you start dating white people? I said, I don't date white people. I just happen to marry a white person. You know what I'm saying? I was like, but I never said I'm not dating black men, you know, kind of thing. He just showed up in that package. And like Adele said, and I was not close to it, but it took me some time, you know, and I did say, it's really a strange, you know why it's really strange? I don't know if Adele has the same situation. I will be walking someplace with James. I'm gonna keep it real, and I'll see a black man with a white woman, and I literally go, oh, it's like that, and then I'm like, wait.
Just such a hypocrite.
Oh.
That's so funny.
Oh, no. What was that? Was that Tiffany's phone? Sorry, front page fam, we got a little static.
Okay.
Okay, so
It's clear now.
Okay, so
That's funny.
Adele, elaborate on that. Elaborate on Tiffany and, you know, feeling like... Are you there, Tiffany? Adele? Uh-oh,
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, you're there. Okay, so Tiffany, are you there? I'm sorry. We're having a little technical difficulties. Okay, so Tiffany, you need to call us back. So, Carol, I heard you grunting and amen and Tiffany. So,
yeah, I want to say something.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a part of the question I didn't answer the first time, and I'm going to make it really brief because I do want to touch on what she just spoke on about all black spaces.
Okay.
But I met my partner online on a dating app where predominantly white men roam, right? Which I think was interesting. Taking into consideration, you know, yesterday's guest Steve's take on dating apps and so on and so forth. But you know, moving on. Yes, it's interesting. I've definitely felt that level of self-consciousness.
Okay.
It's funny how for him, you know, walking into a all black space, all white space doesn't matter, especially in an all white space. You know, walking in with me, it's actually the antithesis of what I sometimes have an inkling to do, which is like distance myself. Where it's like he pulls me even closer, like, hey, like what up, like, you know, say it loud, say it proud, like my woman is black. You know, it's like a badge of honor. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
It says something about a white man if he's dating a black woman. You know what I'm saying? And yes, it's funny, I've caught myself feeling that way about a black man arm in arm with a white woman. And I've had to ask myself, I've had to stop and be like, okay, what is like, well, what second kettle? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that?
You have the pot calling the kettle?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so you alluded to it a little bit earlier. You touched upon it a little bit earlier when we were talking about your strength and how your white partner responds to it. So how does his response to your strength differ from black men? And I'm going to start with you, Adele, and then Tiffany, I'm going to go to you.
Well, you know, let me say he's getting used to it. It's an acquired taste. He's definitely, you know, in the beginning of our relationship was like, whoa, what flavor is this? He didn't like it. He didn't. Because he was used to a different type of woman.
Okay.
He's getting to a point now where he actually finds himself feeling comforted by it. And he knows that it's a very Teflon tough safe space, you know, when he's feeling like, you know, all that he's expected to be as a white man, because there is pressure, I feel, that white men take on to you know, that they feel this external pressure to be the hero in every story and the hero in all they do and to prevail. And at times when he's feeling as though he's tapped out, he knows he can be vulnerable with me. And I'm learning, and go to Tiffany's point earlier about our inability to be vulnerable, it's actually something he highly encourages me to do. He's like, I actually need that. Like, in order to feel safe, I need to know that, like, you bleed, you feel, you're affected, right? And that you're willing to, because, you know, with vulnerability comes fear. But of course, as a Black woman, again, with the gift and the curse of our strength, it's like even feeling afraid is something we dare not admit, right? But he's like, no, I need you to say these things. It'll be helpful for you. He leads by example when it comes to that. So yeah, when it comes to my strength, it's something he still grapples with, being honest, because I'm the first Black woman he's ever dated. You know what I'm saying? But he is also finding himself feeling empowered by it and cloaked by it.
You know, it's interesting because although your partner, you're his first Black experience, for lack of a better word. Typhanye, on the other hand, James, he's a white man who's used to dating Black women. He's used to dealing with our strengths. So how does he respond to your strength, and how does it differ from Black men?
Me? Oh, yeah. No, I was saying that as well. Or I was thinking about that when Adele was talking, that James, I have a stepdaughter, and she's biracial, Courtney. So he's dated, you know, his favorite story is he gave some little white girl a bracelet when they were in the 5th grade, and she lost it. And I was like, that was it. He was like, that was it. And I was like, you're ridiculous. And he always talked about how his mom would be like, so you're not ever, and he was just like, I've always been attracted to Black women. And I said, well, that's very interesting because my experience is different. So, I think in recent past, you know, we've got a lot of socio-political unrest, you know, and we had, of course, you know, the former president that just shook up a lot of what was already there, you know, in this country. And I think it didn't challenge me to, you know, in different spaces. Obviously, it was a challenge because I think for Black people, we're tired. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I'm just tired. I'm tired of trying to tell white people how not to be racist. I don't know what else to help. I can't help you with it, you know, kind of thing. And so we have had, you know, discussions, you know, at home around race, racism, you know, obviously white supremacy, what it is not, and just the sort of, you know, foundation of what that is, you know, and the difference between discrimination and racism. I'm like, you know, and I've, you know, had a lot of these discussions, but I think it's something that, I won't say that it's necessarily a badge of honor for him, but I do think that it's something that he sort of reinforces, you know, in the home and outside of the home. Case in point, part of the strength part is, you know, me being a professor and having to deal with, like, imposter syndrome. You know, like, okay, I know somebody at some point is going to find out I'm not really that smart. Or they're going to be like, oh, who accidentally hired her, you know, kind of thing, or whatever, and just kind of always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Whereas he's really kind of watched my trajectory in my career and has been like, he's like, I'm president of the fan club, so, you know, kind of thing. And I think one of the things that Adele alluded to, or I mean, she might not have alluded to, but just straight up said, is that I have had to find space to be vulnerable, you know, within my home. And I think even being able to show that vulnerability is sort of a sign of strength, you know, not always feeling like I have to, you know, not cry or not do this or not do that. I'm saying all that to say that I think it's something that he honors. But I will say one thing, and I think everybody probably, you know, kind of, you know, can kind of give a little shout out with this, is that I think part of the reason why he has that room, obviously, is because he's a white male. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, so you got room and strength. You got time to watch me cry and be broke down, because you ain't crying and being broke down about much. You know, or maybe you're crying and being broke down about something else, but it's not this hierarchy or this patriarchal society that's run by white men and the blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so I think you have that room to allow me to be vulnerable, which is different, I would say, from, I don't know. Like I was telling you the other day about, we had a webinar, and it was a faculty member who's going to GW. He was at Vanderbilt, and he does work around hypermasculinity and masculinity and a man's role in the home. And, you know, even in terms of strength, women, you know, if you're not bringing, you know, frying the bacon up, what do you call it, in the pan, you know, if you're not bringing home the bacon, it's a different sense of, oh, shoot, I'm not bringing home the bacon. Whereas if a man's not bringing home the bacon, it's like somehow you fail society, you know, based on societal standards of what men are supposed to be bringing to the table. For black men, it's even more so, okay, because any lack of doing that, not only is it you're something as a man, but it's that an extra sort of jab, you know, on your blackness and what it means for the black community and our community, et cetera. So I'm saying that to say that, obviously, having dated black men my whole life, there was strength in our ability to talk about the man and what the man was doing on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. However, in certain spaces, I felt like I had to suppress my feelings of being oppressed in certain spaces and elevate his, right? So I was like, well, let me shut up. I'll let you talk about what happened to you at work. Because, again, in the hierarchy of things, probably how you feel as a black man is more important than how I feel as a black woman. And so within this other space that's been going on for 17 years, I don't have that same juxtaposition. I don't have that same I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whose struggle is worse today? You know, kind of a thing. Right. It's like, you know, James goes through his own thing, you know, at work. You know what I'm saying? And et cetera. But I don't have that struggle, I think. So there is space for me to be strong. Because I am the only black person in my house, you know?
Fair enough. We need to take a commercial break right now. Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we're now going to open up the phone lines because we want to get your calls on our conversation, the misperception of the strong black woman. So give us a call here at 520-KJLH. That's 520-KJLH. 5554 from any area code. You're listening to The Front Page with me, Starlett Quarles, on 102.3 Radio Free KJLH. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Front Page. I'm your guest host this week, Starlett Quarles, filling in for Dominique DePrima. And our discussion this morning has been the misperception of the strong black woman. But now we want to hear from you. So we're going to open up the phone lines, and Adele Supreme is still here with me to answer some of your questions. But before we do that, the current time is 5:48, and the weather is still 53 degrees, and it's going to be beautiful today, 83 degrees. So we have James on. Carol, you still there, Adele?
I'm still here.
Okay. James, hi. You're on The Front Page. You have a comment or question for Adele.
Good morning, all. My name is James. I would like to have the strong black woman defined. What is the definition of a strong black woman?
Very good. Carol? You want to answer that? What would you say what would you say is the definition of a strong black woman?
A strong black woman.
Irrespective of physical strength, what would you attribute our strength to?
I mean, I could, bring it back as far as slavery. You know what I'm saying? The woman who, like I said in my answer, the woman who has a high threshold for pain, for better or for worse. The woman who can stand toe-to-toe with you at the front line of war, but also when she's bloodied and bruised, she will bleed to death, potentially. You know what I'm saying? He's like, baby, you bleeding. And she's like, I'm fine, I got this. And then next thing you know, she's purple and blue. You know what I'm saying? That's my definition.
And James, I apologize. I should have kept you on the line because I wanted to know why you wanted to have that defined for you. Okay, go ahead, Bubba.
I think a lot of times there's so many different variations of a strong black woman that there's not really one specific answer. Like there's not a straight up, what is a strong black woman?
Because you don't attribute to her physical strength.
No, not at all. For me, a strong black woman is a woman that is independent, that is successful, and pretty much kind of did it on her own. Like she was there for herself. She knows how to take care of herself with or without a man. But to me, at the same time, when you do find that man, not to say sit back and relax, but be a partner. Like a relationship is 50-50. It has to be 100. No matter what, a relationship needs to enter 100%. If it does not, you're going to run across a lot of
I
problems.
agree with you. It should be sit back and relax, because I want to sit back and relax.
I mean, not with everything. I mean,
no, but I'm saying, but with the strong black women feeling like we have to do everything.
No,
right? Like
100%.
we have to punch, do the gas, and we have to do our tires, and change the oil or whatever. I mean, sometimes I don't want to have to do that. But if there isn't a man there, or if there isn't someone to support me in that capacity, then yeah, I got to do it. But you say what? Dorian? What would you define as the strong black woman, irrespective of physical strength?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with Bobo. Like, it's pretty much I would say the same thing. It's not necessarily the physical strength; it's the mental strength. Definitely she knows what she wants, and she's willing to not only just go for it, but I mean, also let the man know exactly what she wants as well, and being able to allow the man to play his part as well. She's not relying on the man, but she's definitely allowing herself to be a partner to the man.
Okay, Carol, you agree?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, where do you differ?
What part do you disagree with? Let us know.
Well, because my I feel like a strong what defines a strong black woman. You guys say it is a woman who is independent and wants to take care, who's capable of taking care of herself, so on and so forth. Yes, these things also contribute to the independence, the strength factor. There are other women who are capable of the same thing, right? Being independent, taking care of themselves, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like what defines the strength of the black woman specifically is her ability to take it. I mean, it's the muscle. Mm-hmm. I think the physical strength. The reason Starlett is, I believe that she's saying irrespective of physical strength, is because I believe that physical strength permeates our emotional and mental strength as well. Mm-hmm. It's the capacity to withstand some things black men aren't even capable of withstanding, and the resiliency the resiliency that comes with that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't think finding a woman who's capable of taking care of herself is difficult to find. Women in general, like Typhanye and Tamica were saying earlier, are strong as a gender. Mm-hmm. Strong black women. That's a whole nother breed.
Okay. Good answer. So let's go on to another caller. Mr. Horton, you're on the front page. You have a comment or a question for our guest, Adele.
Yes. Thanks for letting me speak here. I think the topic is absolutely fascinating. I think that's the war between black men and black women.
Okay.
And we live in a society of systemic racism, and we're still fighting about who we are as individuals. And for a lot of women, comes out to the money. They're good with that. They make their money. Mm-hmm. As far as relating to somebody on a personal basis, okay, they have no clue. They have no clue what kind of man they want. Mm-hmm. After they come to the economic thing, get out the way. I know a lot of black women who have, single and have kids, and they are struggling as hell. They're strong as hell. Mm-hmm. I admire them because they have to do all this. They have to do a whole lot of stuff. Okay, they have to be the mom, the dad, the teacher. And they stay strong. And they do that. And I think that's very admirable. I think we don't see each other. I think we really don't understand and see each other that way. And I just wish we had more panels like this to discuss this. And personally, myself, I think black women are adorable. And
did you say
black woman. You see a beautiful black woman, and you just look at her. You know nothing about her, but she just mesmerizing. You just you're almost speechless. The beauty is so off the charts.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. And I agree with you. We don't see each other. And I wish we did see each other more for the beauty in black love and black relationships. Carol, your response to Mr. Horton.
Yeah, thank you all. I believe we are adorable, aren't we? Thanks for that. It's interesting because I agree with both of you. I feel like we don't see one another, but I also believe, and I just want to push back on that a little bit. I believe that black people are inherently have a communal mindset. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something I find myself stuck in the fissure between, like my allegiance to my community and my allegiance to myself. Mm-hmm. One thing I know about white people, especially being immersed in all white spaces, like they're conditioned to be very individualistic in their thinking, right? Which is why they're very capable of setting boundaries. Black people, we feel the pressure to constantly consider the good of the people, mm-hmm. the good of our neighbor, the good of our brother, the good of our sister. And I believe that
the reason black men and black women, we find ourselves so afflicted by one another is because we see each other that deeply, and we're so emotionally and spiritually intertwined. I can't help but, like, what the question you asked earlier, what Tiffany said about her experience when she sees a black man with a white woman, and how we have a difficult time kind of identifying what that is. That makes us kind of, ooh, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a connection here. There's a tether here that can't be broken. That's intrinsic. That's kismet. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because I see you so deeply, brother, that I don't even know you, and I'm impacted by your choice. What is that? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you, me. So I think we do see one another. I think the conflict comes with tapping into the vulnerability and admitting you hurt me and I hurt you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That's good. Let's go to another caller. Thank you for that, Carol. Walker from Oceanside. You said there's a difference between masculinity and femininity. What is your comment or question for our guest, Adele?
Hey, how you doing, ma'am? My comment basically is two masculines can't reside in the home. I get it with the black woman who wants to be masculine. But you can't have that in the home when you have a good black man.
So are you equating our strength with masculinity, that we're acting
Correct.
like men?
I mean, black women could be strong, feminine, but to balance us out. That's all I'm really saying. There's nothing wrong. I prefer a strong black woman, but we have to work together. We need to complete each other, not fight against each other like the brother was just saying. Okay. Nothing wrong with a strong black woman. Just be a strong black, feminine black woman, because you can shine more as a feminine black woman. Leave the masculine to us. I'm a strong black man raised by my father 52 years. Mm-hmm. I know what responsibility is. Okay.
Fair enough. Excellent. Carol, your response to Walker.
Well, yeah, I feel like, and I don't know if Walker, and this isn't really, I don't know, he can answer this question for himself, but I feel like there are men who, not just black men in general, who say they want a feminine woman, actually don't know what femininity actually is, like as a phenomenon, right? Nor do they really have a clear idea of what masculinity is. I feel like a lot of not black men, but men in general, say they want a woman who is feminine, be strong but be feminine. And I feel like, honestly, every single one of us, men and women, we all foster both masculine and female energy. Okay. Some in greater capacities than others. Some people have a much greater component of masculinity. Some have less femininity, vice versa. And when you're in relationship with someone, those capacities are interchanging. There are times, and this is the plight of the black man, not being able to identify their own emotions. They repress, right? Mm-hmm. And instead of embracing the feminine part of them, right, they repress that and feel the need to protect it and overcompensate in what they perceive as masculinity. And they want us to balance that out and being feminine. Well, sir, let me ask you, what is femininity? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I need men to understand that you have parts of you that are soft, and every now and again, you want to lay your head on somebody's chest. Every now and again, you don't feel like inventing the wheel and going out and being what you perceive as what you think a man is. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you want to be held. And that's the feminine part of you. And there's times where you're going to want me to tap into my masculine and pick up where, and be that soft landing space and step in when you feel tapped out. So I need you might want to start appreciating that masculinity that I'm coming home with every now and again.
I'm going to say that. So it's balance, right? Like Mr. Hort said, it's about balance. Thank you so much, sweetie, for joining us this morning. I adore you, and I adore you. You know that I do. Thank you for tuning in, family, to The Front Page. I want to thank my guests, Tamica Washington-Miller, Typhanye Dyer, and the beautiful, adorable Adele Supreme. Make sure you join us tomorrow as we continue our series of conversations for a generation with our discussion. Let's talk about gentrification right here on The Front Page with me, Starlett Quarles, signing off as my mama's child and my daddy's baby girl. Until tomorrow, God bless you.